Hello and welcome to the Great TV. I am your host, JP Forte. Now there's an incident that took place that I have been wanting to cover, and this incident was a shooting that took place in Ferguson, Missouri. A police officer, Darren Wilson, shot and killed a young man named Michael Brown. Now when this whole story came out and made national media coverage, I just figured, alright, we'll just let the evidence come together and we'll see exactly what took place. And then we can go from there. Well, the autopsy results came in and some more evidence come in that Michael Brown was not shot in the back by the police officer like one of the earlier witnesses said. He was actually shot from the front. And some other witnesses have come forward saying that Michael Brown was actually rushing towards the police officer in a threatening manner. Now, Michael Brown was not armed. And I have to say that I feel that it was wrong for the police officer to shoot him. The police officer could have tasered him, but he didn't. And because of that, yes, I do feel that there should be some kind of disciplinary action. As a matter of fact, I feel that maybe the police officer should be removed from the force. But what I've been kind of disgusted by too is some of the behavior of the people in Ferguson, Missouri. Because of this incident, which was a excessive force from a police officer, which resulted in the death of someone, they took it being a case of that and then literally took it and turned it into a racial issue. Now, this has gotten really ridiculous, okay? This whole race garbage that's been going on. For one, it seems that literally every single time that there is an incident that involves a white guy and a black guy, and the outcome is that the black guy either gets basically beaten up by the white guy, or the black guy gets killed by the white guy, it always ends up turning into a racial issue, like, oh my god, it was an act of racism. Every single time it's something that involves a confrontation or an altercation or some kind of incident that involves a white guy and a black guy, race always ends up coming into it. And a lot of times these incidences where the white guy and the black guy get into it, race isn't even the issue that caused the whole confrontation that resulted in whatever violent attack that was done. About 90% of the time, it was over something else. So you people really need to stop with the whole goddamn race card and getting behind those idiots Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, who basically make their living off of race baiting and inciting racial tensions and inciting racial violence. Those idiots make a living off of doing that, and you people are fools for getting behind them. Second of all, another thing I would like to say is that this whole thing of rioting is not going to change the situation. In fact, having riots is not going to make the situation better, and nothing good is going to come from that. When you riot and you go looting and burning down stores and businesses, you're only hurting yourselves because you're destroying your community and your neighborhood. When you do that, business owners do not want to open up businesses in the area. And guess what? That destroys the area economically and makes the area even a worse situation, puts the area in a worse situation than what it was in before. So when you riot and you burn down businesses, it does nothing but hurt you in the long run. And anyway, with this incident, yeah, I agree that justice needs to be done. But this was not a racial issue. So you people really need to get off the freaking racial crap. This was an incident where a police officer used excessive force that resulted in the death of someone. And this kind of thing has happened before, not just to black people, it's happened to all other kinds of races where officers have used brutality and excessive force that resulted in bodily harm or death of someone. It happens. But every single time it happens, it's not a racial issue. So, cut the race crap. Now, as far as this whole incident, I feel that, yeah, there needs to be justice. The officer should no longer be on the force. I agree on that. But I do not agree with the behavior and the race baiting that's been taking place here. And the race card being pulled over this. This ain't freaking 1963 Alabama, so knock it off. Unless there was some evidence of racial slurs being thrown around or something like to that matter, then I'll believe it was a racial issue. But the fact that you people seem to throw out the race card every single time it's an incident between a black guy and a white guy, it's ridiculous. Okay? It's not always linked to racism. It's not all about racism, you idiots. And another thing, as far as people that have been killed, as far as black men that have been killed, you waste no time when it's somebody that isn't black that was the killer and go after the whole thing and scream racism. But about a little over 90% of black men that have been murdered in the United States have been murdered by other blacks. When is that problem going to be addressed? And when is the damn race card going to stop being used and abused for basically some kind of political gain or for political convenience? Cut the damn race card, stop with the damn rioting, because when you're doing your rioting and you're burning down stores, you're only harming your community. You're not hurting anybody else but yourselves. And as far as the incident with the police officer, I agree that he used excessive force. I agree that he should have tasered the guy. But at the same time, that officer was, I believe, investigating a robbery, or was called to a robbery, and basically ordered Michael Brown to stand on the sidewalk, and I guess he refused, and I guess he rushed the officer. And then the officer shot him. Which I feel that because Michael Brown was unarmed, the police officer should have tasered him and apprehended him. But he didn't, and because of that, yeah, he should no longer be on the force. But to take this issue and once again turn it into a racial issue because it was a white guy that killed a black guy, and literally make it like, oh my God, we're back in the 50s and the 60s where the Klan is lynching where the Klan's lynching anybody that's not white. You know, it's not even like that anymore. Whites and blacks can get into fights with each other, and sometimes those fights can end up turning violent, resulting in the physical injury or death to one or the other. It ain't right, but you know, That's the way humanity is. It happens. And even when that does happen, it's not a race issue all the time. 90% of the time when a white guy and a black guy get into a fight with each other and it results in something that ends very badly, it's not always racially charged. 90% of the time it's totally about something else that they got into it over. So I'm going to end this in closing, and I'm going to say this once again. Cut out the goddamn race crap and stop with the goddamn race card. Thank you.